Welcome to your Wellcast, a guide to unlocking a healthier, happier you. Your host, Anna Kate, is an experienced holistic health and wellness coach. She's the guide by your side as you give yourself permission to build the life you envision, empowering you through motivation, education, and whole health nourishment. If you're ready to indulge in your wellness journey, Anna's here to help. This is your Wellcast.
Hello, and welcome to your Wellcast. Today, I wanted to have a discussion, a little question and answer about self-doubt and taking responsibility for your own life when dealing with self-doubt. So we're going to simply start with, why do we experience self-doubt? Self-doubt is most definitely a common human experience. We all go through it. It just looks and feels different for everyone. There are a variety of reasons it comes up at any given time within certain phases of life, ages, stages, stressors that we're experiencing, etc. So I'm going to kind of list off some reasons as to why we might experience self-doubt in our lives. The first one being a fear of failure. So when you're focused on important goals or aspirations, things that aren't super common for you and a bit more challenging, let's say, the fear of failing to meet certain expectations can lead to self-doubt. You may start to question your ability a little bit more or worry about not being able to live up to your own or other people's expectations or society's expectations, to be honest. Another reason might be perfectionism. I am very aware of this. This is sort of my number one go-to in terms of tests and worthiness. And I find myself in that perfectionism bubble at times of heightened states. Under perfectionism, it's really having unrealistic high standards for yourself. Oftentimes for other people as well. But in this case, we're talking about you. And with those high standards of yourself, it can most definitely create a constant self-doubt spiral. It brings up different uncertainties. You start questioning the way you've always done things. You know, what is the best outcome? And with that perfectionism definitely comes procrastination as well, to make everything you're doing perfect. Perfectionists often feel that they're never really doing enough. Are they capable of doing the work to the best of their ability, to the highest set of standard? And that leads to persistent self-criticism and doubt. The third piece I'll talk about is social comparison. Comparing yourself to others and feeling that, you may fall short in some way can trigger thoughts, emotions of doubting yourself, doubting what you're doing, all of the above. And with that prevalence, it seems to be more heightened with social media and all of the different platforms that we are on, that we should be on, the way it all looks and feels on those platforms. The social media comparison and just general cultural social comparisons roll right into that perfectionism, self-criticism piece as well. And so it's so easy to compare yourself to others by those highlight reels of life. But that's not the reality. Those aren't their daily struggles. So everything we see on that high level leads us to feeling inadequate, and we start second guessing and doubting our path when every single human in their own right experiences that certain level of self-doubt to some degree. Another reason why we may experience self-doubt is past experiences. This goes deep, right, into some triggers and tests and shadow work, etc. But really, really high level, negative past experiences, such as failures and rejections and criticisms that we've had, that we remember, that are sort of stuck in our subconscious, those can linger in our minds and contribute to the ideations that we have that rise when self-doubt comes about. If we have been repeatedly told or made to feel that we're not good enough, it can definitely shape our perception and create this doubt-driven conditioning. Another is a lack of confidence. Low self-esteem or lack of confidence in your abilities can make you more prone to self-doubt. When we don't actually believe in ourselves truly, innately, and we have this negative self-image within, that's also sort of what penetrates outward, right? It becomes easier to doubt our own capabilities from a certainty viewpoint when all of a sudden, we're shaken by something, by some thought, and that lack of confidence arises. It's in opposition. The lack of a confidence is in opposition to that certainty viewpoint in which we're more times than not living through and rolling through our lives with. And the last one I'll talk about here in this category is overthinking and cognitive biases. Overanalyzing situations, which I know we all do to some degree, focusing on the potential negative outcomes or engaging in cognitive biases like, let's say, imposter syndrome, can amplify any uncertainty. These patterns and this way of thinking, oftentimes those spirals, can make you question your actual competence and contributions, even when there's no rational basis for it. And so it's what we've talked about before in another episode, that when you are overthinking or you're catching yourselves in this imposter syndrome, let's just use that example, it's coming back to self, back to the present, not overanalyzing, not overthinking, and simplifying everything to the degree of safety and security and your capability is true. It's important to note that self-doubt is a very natural part of being human. It's not something that you should, feel guilty for, be embarrassed of. It affects people to varying degrees. Occasional self-doubt can serve as a motivator for self-improvement and growth. But when it gets to be that excessive doubting of yourself and others and your path and things like that, that's where it can hinder your progress and impact your overall well-being. So again, it's just being super conscientious of where you lie on that spectrum. Developing that self-awareness, cultivating self-compassion, challenging those negative thoughts when they arise, and seeking support from others when you need it. And please celebrate all of those small successes. Those things can actually help you manage and overcome any self-doubt that you may have. So the second part of this episode is, how do we then take responsibility for our lives and outcomes when we're dealing with self-doubt that we just spoke to? It can be challenging. Taking responsibility for your own life and big and small outcomes can be challenging. It can be extra challenging when you're dealing with patterns of that self-doubt that can occur. But it is a definitive and important step in personal growth and empowerment, you guys, to practice taking responsibility and accountability through it all. I'm going to chat about some strategies that you can practice to help you navigate the self-doubt and worthiness pieces and actually flip that coin and feel confident when you take responsibility for your life. So some of the strategies, I'll just start with the first one. It's recognizing the feeling. So start by acknowledging and accepting that self-doubt is that normal part of a human experience. Recognize the specific areas and situations where this doubt or your feelings of not good enough, unworthiness, etc., tend to arise for you? Awareness is the first step in addressing and managing any of that doubt effectively. So being honest with yourself. Feel into your body. Listen to your thoughts. Where is it arising for you? Next, then you will go ahead and challenge your negative thoughts or any of those spiraling thoughts that you may be having. Paying attention to that self-critical inner dialogue that accompanies doubt and negative self-talk really starts to put these pieces into buckets, I would say, right? So it's not you. That isn't who you are. Again, it's always saying, I may have failed, but I am not a failure. That thing just happened, and my emotions can be attached to that experience, but that isn't who I am. So evaluate the truth here and understand why these thoughts are coming in. Are they certain tests? Are they blocks? Are they certain shadows in opposition to your authentic self? And what I mean by tests, it's that resistance. It's when you're leveling up. It's when you're becoming more true to who you are, you'll start to notice the tests, the blocks, the shadows, etc. Because our bodies are so conditioned to stay in that safe space. The nervous system, when it gets out of whack, it just wants to find a way to come back to your comfort zone. Oftentimes consider the alternative. What are more balanced perspectives, rationale, positive thoughts, emotions, and actions that could be your source instead of listening to the negative thoughts and self-talk? Balance those perspectives. You hear the spiral of the negative, you're hard on yourself when you look in the mirror. The work you did that day, was it good enough? You're always questioning yourself. Now balance that perspective and ask yourself positive questions rather than those self-defeating thoughts. Base it in positive and realistic affirmations about your abilities and your true potential. You know your potential internally. It's just challenging yourself enough in the positive way to get those outcomes. So another way you can, we as humans take responsibility for your own life, set actionable goals. So break down the larger goals into smaller, achievable steps. Know that all of this takes time. Actionable goals, actionable steps are just foot in front of the other, getting to a place where you can build your confidence and provide yourself with a sense of accomplishment. That can counteract the self-doubt. It's celebrating your progress along the way. Be in tune with the actionable steps and the rituals that you keep to keep yourself moving forward. You're moving towards more. What rituals lead you forward? No matter how small those steps may feel, it is still progression forward. Piggybacking off of that is continue to take action. Acknowledge your self-doubt if and when it arises, but do not let it paralyze you. Take action anyway. It's that ebb and flow. It's never going to be a linear path. You might have thought it was going in one direction. You can veer, you can pivot slightly to continue to take action. Remember that the thoughts and feelings that arise from fear and uncertainty aren't going to overtake the discipline, any small action that you can to move past any of the resistance that may be coming up. So by taking action and stepping outside of your comfort zone, you can create opportunities for your continued growth and learning. The next is to cultivate self-compassion. So treat yourself with kindness and compassion. I always say this. We are so hard on ourselves. We wouldn't say the things that we say to ourselves to other people half the time. So treat yourself with kindness and grace, especially when you're feeling any self-doubt. Recognize that everyone makes mistakes and faces challenges, yourself included. We often give everyone else the kindness, the grace, the compassion. We can now offer that to ourselves. It's pertinent to offer that to yourself. practice recharging forms of self-care. I love the idea of self-care, but in the way that it recharges you. That goes hand in hand with a lot of my programmatic pillars. I think that there's time and space for, the pampering, absolutely. But when you're talking about self-care, it's so important to do that in order to recharge your own batteries. So practice those methods of self-acceptance, focusing on your strengths and your accomplishments rather than dwelling on those perceived failures or limitations that may linger in the back of your mind or that subconscious. We're reframing the mind. We're using those neural pathways to give ourselves compassion and grace to move past situations and know that we're capable of more. Seeking support. So reach out to supportive friends, family, mentors, a coach who can provide encouragement and guidance. Sharing your self-doubt with trusted people in your network can help you gain perspective and receive reassurance. Again, you're not alone. Consider working with a therapist, like I said, or a coach who can help you navigate any of those self-deprecating, questioning, low-worth thoughts and develop better strategies for that expansion and that personal growth. You're very worthy of that expansion. One last one, so reflect and learn from any setbacks. So instead of allowing self-doubt to hold you back after failures or circumstances that didn't go as you had planned or you hoped, view them as opportunities for progress. They are ways for developing a better you, and they can be used as enlightenment. Reflect on what went wrong and what you can learn from that experience. And how can you approach similar situations differently in the future? Taking responsibility for your life does not mean eliminating self-doubt entirely. It just means that you're acknowledging your doubts, but you're not letting them define you or control you. Embrace it all as the natural part of your journey and use it as motivation to learn, grow, and take action towards your specific vision. Okay, and the third part of this episode, you guys, is answering and discussing the question, why is it important to learn to take responsibility for my own life? I love this quote or this passage. I don't know where I found it. I don't know. It might have been I heard it somewhere. But essentially, it's please respect my right to make decisions about my life. Please respect my right to make decisions about my own life. That's heavy hitting. But for everyone, it's going to mean something different. And to me, that means we all are responsible for what it is that happens in our own life. So learning to take responsibility for your own life is a crucial part of your life journey. It's empowering. It brings authority and ownership to your choices and your overall well-being. Showing up and seeing the world through a different lens can look and feel differently for everyone. So I'm going to discuss a few reasons and ways it can show up for you. Empowerment and control. Taking responsibility puts you in the driver's seat of your own life. It truly empowers you to make choices and decisions that align with your personal values, your goals, and desires. And when you take responsibility, you take control of your actions and responses, which can lead to a greater sense of autonomy and personal agency. With that comes personal growth and self-development. When you recognize that you have the power to shape your own life, you become more motivated to learn, to improve, and to overcome any challenges that may present themselves. It encourages self-reflection, self-awareness, and a willingness to step outside of your comfort zone to pursue new opportunities and experiences. Your experiences are yours and no one else's. There are so many facets that go into a simple level of understanding that is your life, let alone a deep, innate sense of understanding. And so people can say and think what they need about your life, about your choices, about your decisions. But again, it's back to that quote that I said at the beginning. It's just stating to yourself and to others that it's out of respect. It's my right to make decisions about my own life. And then you just know and trust that you do that for the benefit of you and the greater good of others and society beyond you. You cannot control others, but they cannot control you. Accountability. So taking responsibility means actually being accountable for your actions, for your choices, and any of the consequences that may follow. It means owning up to your mistakes, learning from them, and taking steps to make amends or rectify the situation as that's needed. But accountability builds trust within yourself and your relationships and with others. It builds that integrity. It builds that strong foundation for relationship with others. You develop resilience and adaptability in the face of adversity. So instead of feeling like a victim of circumstances, you find the opportunity to focus on solutions and taking proactive steps to overcome challenges. Taking responsibility allows you to bounce back from any setbacks, learn from failures, and adapt to the changing circumstances. We all know one of the most foundational things and most certain things in life is that there will be change. So taking accountability and developing that resilience allows you to adapt to anything that may come your way. Again, it's important to learn these steps. It's important to take responsibility. Another reason would be freedom from blame and victim mentality. When you take responsibility, you're actually freeing yourself from the trap of blaming others or blaming external circumstances for all of your outcomes. Blaming external factors for your situation may provide temporary relief. We've all done it. We've all been there. But it also then disempowers you in the long run and keeps you stuck. It keeps you feeling like you're just, trudging through the mud instead of owning and shifting accountability and looking inward. And when you do that, you can reframe your mindset from that victimhood to ownership mentality, essentially enabling you to create positive change in your life. And when you create the positive change in your life, you are more able to emanate that out into the world for the betterment of others as well. You are the one who can change your circumstances. You simply have to believe in your strength, your ability, and the power you have to find opportunity and make the most of it for your specific journey. And the last one I'll talk about is personal satisfaction and fulfillment. Become an active participant in creating the life that you desire. This sense of agency, this personal ownership and authentic power that can lead to increased fulfillment and success, again, in whatever way you define success, are all the reasons why it's so important to learn to take responsibility for your choices, for your actions. It brings true satisfaction into your life. You have the power to pursue your passions, set meaningful goals, and do the work, the hard work to achieve them step by step, all of which brings a sense of purpose and joy that radiates from within. When you help yourself, you're better equipped to help others shine as well. So ultimately, taking responsibility for your own life is about recognizing your inherent power and using your specific gifts to shape your experiences and your outcomes. It allows you to live a more intentional, purposeful, and fulfilling life where you are actively engaged in creating the future you desire. Until next time, be you, love them. XO.
Thanks for listening to Your Wellcast, a guide to unlocking a healthier, happier you. Keep in touch on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at AnnaKate_Whole Health. To get in touch with Anna for personalized coaching and guidance, visit AnnaKateHealthCoach.com.